Good morning and welcome to 3 Minutes of Truth. I want to share something with you this morning that has really challenged me and challenged the way that I see trials and difficult times in my own life. So in James, the book of James, in chapter 1, it says in verse 2, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds." Now, I don't know about you, but joy is not my initial reaction when I go into a difficult time or when I go through something difficult in my own life. It's probably never really a reaction I would even consider. Like joy, no, I'm going through a hard time. I'll be joyful when this is over and I can get back to living a good life. And I think that is the mindset and the perspective of most modern day Christians. So when you read the book of James, you find this theme of trials coming up again and again, and he actually has such a different and refreshing perspective on this, and I just want to share that with you this morning. He says actually in verse 12 of chapter 1, he says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial." Now if you think about that, that's such a weird statement to make. He doesn't say blessed is the one who's come out of a trial. He doesn't say blessed is the one who had trials in the past. He doesn't say blessed is the one who's currently living a good life or currently not going through a trial. He says the one in the trial is the one who's blessed. And I just think about that for a minute. The one in the trial is the one who's blessed, not the one out of the trial. Now, when you understand who this letter was written to, you begin to understand where James is coming from. He wrote this letter to the Jerusalem church, one of the most persecuted churches at that time, and they were living in a trial that didn't have an end. They pretty much knew that they were going to be persecuted till the day they died, and probably die for their faith in Jesus Christ. So they weren't living in a trial that were like, hey, next year we'll be out of this. We just need to push through this and persevere, and then next year we can live our good lives and we'll be out of the trial and we can look back at it and be like, we're good, we're glad we're not in those days anymore. No, they were in a trial that pretty much only ended when they died. And so James comes along and he says, guys, change your perspective on the trials you are going through. And I think that that is something that is so relevant to the church today. We need to change our perspective on trials. James says that the trial is actually a blessing. Not when we get out of the trial we get a blessing. It's not some sort of work reward system where, hey, I just got to push through this season for however long it is and then my life will be good and then I'll have a good life and stuff. No, the trial is actually a blessing, and here's why. He says in verse 3 of chapter 1, you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So a trial is a blessing because of what it produces in your life and through your life. There are so many things that would have never been produced in your life or never been produced through your life if it wasn't for the trials that you're currently going through, the trials you've gone through before. And that's why trials are actually a blessing. And that's why James can say to this church, hey, those of you who are going through trials, which was pretty much all of them at that point, you guys are actually blessed because this is producing so much in you. And you don't realize it now, but there is so much that is going to be birthed out of the trial that you are currently in. And I just wanted to encourage someone who's going through a trial this morning, change your perspective on that trial, because that trial is actually a blessing, because that trial is producing so much in your life that would have never otherwise been produced. It's producing character, it's producing testimonies, it's increasing your capacity as a person. That trial is actually going to be a blessing in your life. So I just want to encourage you with that truth this morning. Begin to see trials as a blessing because of what they produce in and through you. My name is Nathan, and this is 3 Minutes of Truth.